Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rodney Veal's Inspired By. I'm the host, Rodney Veal. And today I get to meet someone who is a Cincinnati-based photographer, mover and shaker in the art realm, and all around creative force in Cincinnati. And I'm super excited to have this conversation. And that is with Hatsue.
Yay! Hello.
See,
Thank you so much for having me.
You're absolutely, 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 absolutely. It's really one of those things where a lot of people don't know. It's like I have this love of photography as an art form. And as a matter of fact, I'm waiting on a photographer print to show up that I finally paid off from a photographer. But because I am fascinated, I really genuinely am fascinated by the mediated images and what the possibilities of what you can do with capturing that photography. It's a specific art form that uses technology, blah blah blah, all those things. But I'm just really when I went and looked at your work, and I was like, oh my god! I said, I need to. Who is this person who seems to be having a lot of fun and joy in the photograph process? And I read, so we have to go. This is the hot tub time machine. We need to go back to the very beginning. How
Okay.
did this all begin? And it involves horses, people, by the way. I
Well,
dug.
they did the research.
What we do here.
Yes. It began with horses. So I grew up with horses. So I'm from Hamilton, Ohio, which is only like 45 minutes north of Cincinnati.
Yes.
I grew up with horses. I think it really began with my dad's mom, my grandmother on that side. She had a family friend who had a horse, and I rode this horse a couple times when I was like 3 years old, 4 years old. And then another layer of the story is that my dad has always been into Native American history and also historical reenactments. And so I would grow up going to a lot of powwows and gatherings over the summer, and there would be a lot of horses around. And so I think the first ever photograph of me encountering a horse, I was probably 2 years old, and it's this big black horse. I forget his name. I think his name was like Blackie or something like that. I'm just like crouched down, like looking at it, and my parents said that I was like looking at this horse for hours. So it kind of like started there, and then I went to horse camp as like a 10-year-old or something. So I'm still riding family friend's horse, go to horse camp, and then my dad ends up getting a job at YMCA Camp Camel Guard as their like maintenance facility guy, and they had a horse camp, and that was actually where I went to horse camp. Then my dad kind of starts getting to horses, and then I don't know how, but he ends up becoming like director of the horse camp program there. So then I'm like 15 at this point, and so now I live at the horse camp, like almost. I'm there every single day. I go in with my dad.
You're in it. You're in it.
Yeah,
You're so
he
in
like
it. I
lets
love it.
me go, and I'm just like hanging out. Um, YMCA Camp Camel Guard used to have their own herd of horses, but now they rent out a herd every summer for their summer program.
Mm-hmm.
But they had one last remaining horse from their herd. His name was Onyx. He was a retired racehorse, another big, black, beautiful guy. And he was very a very interesting horse, because a lot of people were a little scared of him because of his racing past. He didn't like being messed with inside of the stall. He didn't like to be tacked up where you put the saddle on inside the stall. But once you saddled him up and got him outside into the arena, he was perfectly well behaved. And so you just kind of had to like move with how he wanted to do things. And so they were trying to get rid of this last remaining horse, and my dad said, we'll take him if we can keep him here. You know, they had pastures, stable,
Mhm.
arenas. If
Right,
we can
right.
keep him here, we'll take care of him. You know, we'll pay for his
Mhm.
food and stuff like that. So that was my first horse. His name was Onyx. He was really great. We had to saddle him up, not inside the stall. Saddled him up, took him on trail rides. He was a great horse. He was a really good guy. Second horse was also a retired racehorse. Her name was Ayesha. Um, I think also came from like a home where she just couldn't be taken care of anymore. And my dad said, we'll take her, we'll take care of her. So we got another retired racehorse. She was also she was a dark bay color, so she wasn't like completely black. She was dark brown. In the summer she was a lighter brown, winter darker brown.
Right.
Third horse was the first horse I think we like actually purchased. He was a 3-year-old medicine hat painted quarter horse. So he's black and white. Medicine hat means his like ears, the top of his head was black. And so that's a very significant Native American coloring. And he had 2 blue eyes.
Wow.
And his name was Cola. And he was really great, but he was orphaned as a foal, and so he had some like personal space issues. So I tried really really hard. But anyway, how the photography came into it is that my grandma got me like a really cheap point and shoot for Christmas when I was
Mhm.
maybe 8 years old. And I would take that to the horse barn and just kind of take photos of the things that was around me. I think that's how we all start photography, is just like photographing things in our daily lives.
Uh-huh.
And so I took photos of like the barn cat. We also had goats around. I'd take photos of the goats. If anyone went to Camp Kimmelgard, they know Damien the goat. Took photos of Damien, the horses. And now I'm starting to get into it. So then I get a Canon Rebel, I think T3, something like that. So kind of a bit of a step up.
Step up on a point
And,
click.
yes, exactly. By this time, it's 2012, and there is starting to be a community on Instagram of teenaged horse girls taking photos of horses and posting it on Instagram. So a lot of these people kind of now still do photography, but we all started at the horse barn. And we're kind of scattered around the Midwest. There was one girl who was, I think, lived in Michigan. There's another girl in Indiana, a couple in Kentucky, me in Ohio. And we would all have our parent drive us down to Lexington at the Kentucky Horse Park, and we would meet up and take photos at horse shows together. And it was the most like that is like the first time I think I really felt a sense of community outside of like,
Wow.
family stuff. And it was just so fun. We'd like learn from each other. I remember one girl, we went to I think it was like Young Riders Association horse show jumping show or whatever. And one of us, she rented out a telephoto lens. And we're like 13. And all of us is like looking at this white big lens. And we're like,
Oh, those are yeah. Yeah, I know. I know.
we're all like amazed and like trying to figure out like what telephoto means and things like that. But that's how I learned photography, going from show to show, dealing with different kinds of weather, moving from indoor arenas to outdoor arenas, capturing motion, because we would also go to the
Wow.
Keeneland racetrack at
Mhm.
7 a.m. in the morning, because they would do morning
Right.
warm up, and you can just like walk in. So we had to capture motion, and that's how I learned how to do photography. I've never really taken any kind of official class or course in photography.
It, it, it was
You
just
just
like a
do it.
voyage of discovery. You just like a voyage of discovery, like a process. Like, well, I got this device in me. Let's go. I mean, oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. I also there's this annual big eventing show. So eventing is show jumping, cross country, and dressage. And they have this annual big one at the Kentucky Horse Park. It used to be called Rolex because Rolex was the sponsor. So people would just like say, we're going to Rolex. Then it was called like, I think it's now called Kentucky 3-day event.
Mhm.
But I think my second time going, it was downpouring and I ruined the camera because it got wet and I lost like half of my photos. So I learned the lesson then.
Oh, you kind of like, and again, like it's like wow, it's like so. Did you think that this was like the intentionality of like like being in this immersed in this world of photography? Was that the intention of going to DAAP? I mean, was like, well, I mean, because you're in it. I mean, you technically you're photographing kind of at a level where someone could just pay you to do it and you're professional and just go. You don't necessarily have to go to
Yeah.
DAAP. So I'm just kind of curious about like that. That's just fascinating. Like you seem to just enjoy it. I mean, I love that your
It's
parents
so
were
fun.
like let's drive her. Let's
My
meet up. And
Oh my god, special shout out to my parents. They are the
absolutely.
most supportive people. They've never been really strict on me, and I think as a response to their um really like letting go of me being able to do anything I want to, as a response, I want to, make them proud obviously. So
Right,
I
right.
don't, try to get them disappointed in me. But because so I grew up with horses, we had a family friend who was a vet tech at Haggard, which is a big equine hospital in Lexington. And this equine hospital is really famous for treating a lot of equine athletes, so like big name racehorses and stuff. And I was so into that. And so I was dreaming of becoming a horse surgeon for like racehorses. That
Wow.
was the goal. And it wasn't until maybe like a couple weeks, the month leading up to when college applications were due, that I changed my mind completely. And there was a little bit of like a tussle between me and my parents. My parents were like, "What are you going to do? This is the thing that you've been dreaming of, going to vet school and, living your life with horses because that's all I have known." And I just changed my mind. And so it was a little bit of like weeks of not knowing what to do. And then my English teacher at high school suggested that I apply to DAAP because I applied to all these different colleges for different things. But yeah, Mr. Simpson, he just said, I had another student who applied to DAAP and she likes it. So why don't you apply to DAAP? Because I know you do photography. Um, and so my parents were not super into the idea of me studying fine arts, but so I studied graphic design. Graphic design seemed to be a little bit more applicable in as a career.
Mm-hmm.
So I studied graphic design, and my time at DAP was really, really helpful because even though I don't consider myself a graphic designer today at all, even though I have
Really?
the graphic design degree, and all of my professors were really super aware because I would always take a spin on my projects to be a little bit more like photography focused. Even my senior capstone was like really just photography. um I learned so many useful skills, like how to use InDesign and typography and composition, things like that, that
Right.
really helped me in photography, that I think. And then obviously the co-op program was so amazing. I did my
Yeah.
first co-op
Yeah. Let's
with
talk
the
about that.
relationships
Yeah.
that UC has already. So I went to New
Right.
York and worked at Rockwell Group as a graphic design intern. Um, it was not my best semester. It wasn't the best because I'm not a designer. That was like the semester that I realized that I don't have to put myself in this box just because I'm pursuing this degree. I can
Mm,
kind of make it my own. I can do whatever I want. And so
absolutely. Yeah.
I finally gave myself permission to be a photographer, even if I'm getting a design degree. So every co-op after that, I found on my own accord. I did a photography internship, and that really helped me get to where I am today, especially in like the magazine editorial world.
I love that. I mean, and the thing is, and the thing is, I feel like your co-op internships happen in the COVID years. We always call
Yeah,
it now we can actually call them the COVID years,
COVID
which
years.
really, well, I mean, I think I think that kind of helped pivot other artists and those who
Yeah.
were it just kind of helped you change I mean, I shifted from education
Mhm.
to here we are. That's like, so I always think about, oh, COVID, just kind of like, well, if you're going to make a change, now's the time. And I just love the
Yeah.
fact that for a lot of people, because this podcast goes to a lot of folks who don't know, DAAP is a part of the University of Cincinnati.
Mhm.
Give me the acronym's full name, because a lot of folks don't know it. I mean, I know it, but tell them what DAAP
DAAP,
stands
yeah.
for.
DAAP is DAAP, the College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning.
And it is a strong program. As a matter of fact, it was really funny. I met someone at a conference last week. Amash, uh, she's a designer. She's a fashion designer, and I know it was just really interesting what's encompassing, like, under DAP. And uh, she was just fantastic, super super sweet. And I just love the fact that it's like she's kind of. I feel like the program allows you to be a multi hyphenate without giving you a lot of resistance to it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, because multi hyphenism really is what art making is. Like, being an artist in today's world, you cannot be the one thing. Let us be very clear,
Yeah.
people. Take the advice. Take the advice. Be more than one thing. so
Exactly. You have to
and so
diversify the income, become multifaceted.
Absolutely. And so that when you got to those photography interns, and this is what's really fascinating, especially about editorial work. I mean, your photography interns, were they in Cincinnati or were they in New York? I feel like one was
Two
in New York, was it? Or was it
two of
two?
them, well, it was the same company, both 2 semesters. I was at And Walsh, Jessica Walsh's, graphic design, or I guess I would say design company. Jessica Walsh is a big name in the graphic design world. She started out with, Stefan Sagmeister, so they used to be partners,
Oh,
Sagmeister and Walsh,
okay.
and so big name. That the I got that internship, so it was in New York City, and it was such a crazy eye-opening experience, living in a big city, and also just I think I was, like, only, like, 21 years old, living in New York City, doing, I was, like, shooting stuff for Google I/O and some other, like, really big name, companies for their campaigns and launches, and it was really crazy. I learned a lot. I felt very, when when you get yourself into certain positions and
Right.
you know that you have like the skill and the dedication, but you're still like quite young, you feel like a little naive. You feel a little bit like,
All right. All right.
does
You're
everyone is
like,
everyone taking me seriously? And I feel that way a lot still. But yeah, I worked at Ann Walsh, worked there for 2 semesters. It was really great. Jessica is really great. Such a brain. I loved hearing the things that she would say for critique and feedback, and like what she wants the vision of the project to go towards. And she just has such a clear vision. So it was really amazing. After those 2 semesters in New York, then I got an internship at Cincinnati Magazine. And that was also really, really great. And now to this day, I freelance with the magazine quite often, and they're really great. It gives me a lot of opportunities to see new restaurants in Cincinnati, meet a lot of great artists and other people in different kinds of worlds. I met the Cincinnati Barbarians, the guys in the full armored garb who go to like Ren Fair and
really? Oh, yeah.
fight. I met them a couple weeks ago shooting for the June cover package, and now this weekend they invited me to go to their like tournament at the Ren Fair grounds, and I'm gonna shoot for them again. So like, it's just you just continue to meet more people, and the tree branches expand, and that's like the main thing why I just love photography, is that the photography is the job part, but the meeting of the people, the getting to see the behind the scenes of so many
Right.
different
Right.
industries, and just like nitpicking other people's brains is kind of the thing that makes me want to keep going in this field.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, the thing is, it's the variety, the fact that you are. I love the fact that you have the autonomy, like this freelancing, and I of course I went on your website and like folks, I did do my deep dive. This is what I do. Like I said, I really love photography. What I love is that there's a sense of when I talk about joy, it's not just it's not a surface joy. This is a joy of an investigation of shape and form and motion. There's your compositional skills are sublime. I'm
Thanks.
sitting, just letting you know. That's how I feel. And like I'm just I'm fanboying out, fully noted. And I just think it's like, and so it's how much of, and especially in these freelance things, are they allow? It's very clear they allow you to be you and
Hmm.
your vision. And so what's a typical shoot with you like? I'm kind of curious. Is that like what? It's got to be fun. It can't be. It's got to be a joyous. Like I cannot imagine people going. And you're like, no, no, no.
Yeah, I try to. I don't know if I deliberately, go into it and be like, I'm gonna be a fun person. I just love it. I always try to approach my photo shoots as if we're just hanging out,
Yeah.
because one, it makes the stress kind of go away for the environment in general, but also it allows me to not get in my head about it too much. Like, I have these deliverables that I, 1, 2, 3, 4, I need to get out, and I need to make it look perfect, and we only have this amount of time, and those kinds of things can really make you nervous and kind of hiccup sometimes. But if I'm just kind of going into it and be like, we're gonna hang out, I'm gonna ask this person probably about their life, and I'm gonna learn something from them, then the photography, also happens simultaneously. And so that's how I like to approach my shoots. And then it's crazy that I also get paid for it. So
there's that magic part of it. And I get paid to do
yeah.
this.
I'm Bonnie Miles, Membership Coordinator of CET. Thank you for listening to Rodney Veal's Inspired By. This podcast is a production of CET and Think TV, two local PBS stations. As PBS stations, the work we do online, on air, and in the community is supported by listeners like you. If you're enjoying the show and would like to support our work, please consider becoming a member at cetconnect.org or thinktv.org. Plus, when you sign up to donate at least $5 a month, you'll get access to special members-only streaming videos on the PBS app through Passport. Learn more at cetconnect.org or thinktv.org.
If you're enjoying this conversation, The Art Show, also hosted by Rodney Veal, is available to stream anytime from anywhere on YouTube or the PBS app.
You're making work at such a level. I mean, why Cincinnati? I mean, no offense to Cincinnati. I don't want anybody sending me
Love
any letters.
Cincinnati.
Like, I'm not dissing on the Midwest, because I love the Midwest. I feel very strongly that it's overlooked as an incubator for creativity. I mean, yeah, that's me on my soapbox. I'm in a reunion, in a kind of an interesting place to kind of. I'm based here in Dayton, but Southwest Ohio is my playground for the station and discovery. And then like I said, this is so. How do you? I mean, do you feel like you don't feel the compulsive need to, like, I must go to New York to be a photographer? Like, because the thing is, you're making stellar work, and folks, like, I love the fact that, like, there's some things that were connected with Vogue magazine. Did you do some? Like I said, I did my digging. So talk about the
Yes
Vogue
and
connection. Yes and
no.
no. Explain that to me. Explain that to me.
So Vogue Italia has an online database collaboration where you can sign up for a profile. You just have to kind of like have a portfolio to prove that you're, a photographer.
Legit, like you legitimacy. Let's put in air quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I signed up when I was maybe 16. So, yeah, and you just had to prove whatever. Anyway, so I I haven't submitted in a really long time, so these details might not be purely accurate. But Vogue Italia online has like a Vogue Italia photo website where you get your profile, and then only for like a couple hours a week they allow submissions for photographers to submit photos, and I think it's like only up to 3 photos, so 3 photos per certain time frame every single week. And then sometimes they don't even accept on certain weeks because they're like, I don't know, don't have time or whatever. And they will then accept some photos to be part of kind of like this online archival database. So I've had maybe 5 photos accepted into the database, and so it's and then, you know, when they're accepted, they show up online and has the Vogue Italia like logo on it already, and so then you can download that photo back, and it's like Vogue Italia with my photo. So it's
good
like,
house.
yes, kind of part of Vogue, but also just like this online photography database, and it's actually really cool. It's just kind of a collaboration thing where you get to see a bunch of other photographers. There's definitely like a specific style that is kind of accepted, or like more like a mood or a tone that's accepted into the database. And
Wow.
my mood and my tone and my editing style and my look has gone all over the place throughout my entire life career so far. My look now probably wouldn't be accepted because I'm too loud and colorful. They kind of love that film subdued look. But yeah,
Interesting.
like that's really, I mean, it's a really cool resource for people who just want to submit some photos and see if they can get in.
Well, you know, the thing is, we're talking about, like, let's be very clear. It's a planet with 8 billion people. It's Vogue Italia. They know what they're looking for, and
Yeah.
when they decide, they decide. It is kind of, I always call it the good housekeeping seal of approval. Look, I got that good housekeeping seal of approval, and it's like, no, that's not a bad thing. I mean, but the thing is, but it's just so you apply, like, you did this at 16, like you. What possession ish? I mean, well,
yeah, something like that.
mythology of life. Just as you get to my age, it'll all be mythology. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There was this time back in my day. Back in my day. So I'm kind of curious about this idea that your style now is bold and brash, which I like. I mean, I don't, but
Me too.
I think Cincinnati Magazine clearly likes. But are you doing any freelance work with any other folks, or is it just kind of people are just picking you up, like you're just kind of a thing? I mean,
I think I kind of just get work from here and there and everywhere. The past 2 semesters, I've been teaching photography at DAAP as an adjunct, and so that has taken a lot of my time. And
really? I didn't know that you were
love
teaching.
teaching.
Oh,
Yeah, I
well,
love teaching.
I mean, let us be very clear. No one, higher ed does not bring you in unless you got skills. I hate to tell you, I'm here to tell you as a former higher ed professor.
That's
Yeah,
validating.
just know they didn't hire you just because they like you, which of course they do. I can see why, but it's you're coming in with mad crazy skills, and so it's like it must be really interesting. Like they see you and go, oh, she's doing it. Like it's like, so I mean, no, seriously, you're like do they? What it's got to be an interesting thing, but like the students must be like, wow, okay. What's your response? What's the response in the classroom? I mean, because I always get the it's the old guy, and all of a sudden I roll on the floor and I get back up because I'm from the dance background, and so they were like, "Whoa, he spiraled to the floor and got back up." What? Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, I can still do it."
Yeah, I think that it's, and before I was going into the semester, like even in the beginning, I love, I've said before, I love to pick people's brains, and because I don't know what I don't know, and different people's experiences, I can learn so much from it. And so I ask a lot of teachers, professors, what their approach is to the classroom environment. Like, do they tell the students what their work is like, or do they kind of prove themselves throughout the entire semester by giving good feedback and things like that? And so, I've heard everything on the spectrum, and I think I've finally formulated my own opinion of show the students what my work is like in the beginning, enough for them to kind of to give them enough reason to trust me, because now they're going to be stuck with me for the next 15 weeks. I need to kind of give them a little bit of a reason to trust me in the beginning, and then then I gain their trust over the semester by giving feedback and critique, and taking them on a journey, so to say. And so, yeah, I definitely do kind of be like, this is my shoot that I did with Rolling Stone and Bon Appetit, and these are all of my covers for Cincinnati Magazine and these other magazines, and I worked in New York. Okay, and now let's begin. And so I kind of I'm like, this is what I've done.
This is what I've done. Yeah.
And now let's talk.
Let's talk. And because it is a mediated imagery. It's like honestly, that's the best way to start. It's like, hey, so no one's going. They're like, we're all in. Like, because and you said something really interesting, like a journey, as a voyage of discovery. As like, and so that is such an important lesson to impart, and because this is kind of like your life. It's your life. I mean, I was so like, it went from horses to photography. I'm like, that's a journey. Talk about a journey.
Yeah.
That is you. And so when you're talking to not just students, I mean, because this, like I said, this podcast is about inspiration, and you're inspiring. It's like because you're just so committed to it. And I had a really great conversation with someone this morning, as a matter of fact, Brandon Ragland, who's the artistic director of Dayton Ballet. And he just said, it's about the journey. It's about the process. It's like digging in and discovery, like peeling things away. And it's like, I think it's a very similar, and I think that's the similarities in art forms that we all share, that all the art forms share. You gotta love peeling back the layers and going, I didn't know that. And you just get excited, and it's like your whole day is filled with excitement, even if it doesn't always work. Like some, we all have the things where we're like, wow, that didn't work, but I'll try it again.
Yeah, and even if the photo didn't work, it's the conversation that I got from the process, the journey. Like the journey is learning about all these different people, and I like to think of my camera as just like an agent that allows me to get into specific buildings or into someone's life. And so I have the camera and I am taking photos, but I am also talking to these people, and like that's kind of my main priority, is because like I'm coming at it as a photographer, but also I'm a freelancer, I'm a person. I'm on this constant journey of just like learning about other people's lives, because I'm just so curious about it. And I'm doing this personal project in which I photograph retired racing greyhound dogs. And so I've been photographing all of these greyhounds around Cincinnati, and I've never really done a long form project like this before, in which I go into strangers' homes and we're meeting for the first time, and I'm like going around their entire house and photographing their dogs and things like that. That's a very like intimate, personal thing. And so I have to like talk to them, because I'm just a human. I'm not using their life for my benefit. It's never like that. It's like we're helping each other out. We're learning from each other. We're talking about what their greyhound did in the beginning, because I also have a greyhound dog.
Oh, you do?
And
okay.
I do. These are my tattoos. So this one, the one on my left side, is my actual dog, because she has half a tail, and then I need to stay like visually balanced, so I have another one on the other side. And so I love greyhounds, and this project is to learn about what other people experienced adopting their greyhounds and what it was like in the beginning. And so my camera is just an agent to open up those conversations with people.
I love that. So what popped in my head is, because you talking about this long format project that you're doing with the greyhounds, which just sounds really really actually it does sound cool because it is
I
like
love dogs.
greyhounds are just beautiful dogs. I mean, I'm a cat person, but I
Oh
do
yeah.
appreciate dogs. I do absolutely do. So my question is, I'm curious, as a photographer, who inspires you in photography?
I'm inspired by so many people. A lot of my friends, mostly because I get to see into their process and like how their brains work. I do get some, I don't know, inspiration can come visually, it could come through conversation, it can come through life experiences. So when I'm thinking about inspiration, it's not particularly like I see a photograph that I really like and I'm inspired by this photograph to create photographs like it, or influenced by it. And so a lot of my inspiration comes from talking with my friends and like their ideas or their experiences, and like how can I don't know, use that experience and translate that into color or composition. It's a very like abstract idea to be inspired by stuff. But it sometimes it just hits.
It just hits. I love it
It just
because
hits.
it just
Like,
when
I'm
it hit.
inspired by my dog's journey from being a work animal on the racetrack, and her journey from starting to become comfortable with me and learning how to play with toys and learning how to jump up on the couch and lay on my lap. That inspired me to photograph other greyhounds in their homes and talk to their owners about what that experience was like adopting a retired greyhound.
I love it. I love it. So there's a question that we ask a lot, all of our guests. It's like, because I love the fact that it's not a formalized training in photography, but it's an experiential
Mhm.
based exploration of photography. What would you say to someone who might not think that they have the thing to kind of be a photographer or leap into it because they're not professional? Well, because
Mm.
there's a little bit of like imposter syndrome that stops people in their tracks. What would you say to them?
If they wanna do it, just continue doing it, you know? Being a being a quote unquote professional is it's a label. It doesn't really mean anything. The difference between me and my friends in the Northside Photo Walk group that we just walk around Northside and take street photography, most of all of them are amateur photographers, but a lot of them know way more than me about their specific gear or about film development and things like that. And so being a photographer is being an image capturer and a storyteller. And if you're dedicated to doing that, then I would call you a photographer.
I love that. No, that's so true because I think we get hung up on labels. Like we have to
Mhm,
be, and it's like no, 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 no. I mean, because I always think about that in terms of dance, and I always think about the early greats of dance did not go to college. They didn't have a
mhm.
master's degree. Martha Graham didn't have a master's degree. She just
Yeah.
did it. She
If
just
you would just yeah,
moved.
just do it.
Oh my
If you
god!
wanna do it, yeah. Because like, I also play violin, and so
Yeah,
it's also a thing of, do I call myself a violinist? I'm not a professional, I don't play in some kind of ensemble, but I do play my violin every single day, so I call myself a violinist. I play violin.
yeah. It's like so your comfort level with the process, like you
Yeah,
being inside the process makes the process work. I mean,
exactly.
yeah, it's like you got to get comfortable with yourself, people. We're here
Mhm.
to tell you. Oh my goodness! And so, I have a curiosity about like, where do you see yourself going with this? I mean, are you
Oh,
that sort of person who goes? Are you? I mean, I'm being honest. I mean this.
yeah.
Meeting for the first time. So, like, are you that kind of a person, or are you just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it unfold. What kind of? How do you? Where do you see the? Where do you see this going?
I definitely have a planning personality. I like to imagine what my life will be like in 2 years or 5 years, and I've really been loving teaching and, living the university lifestyle, and also kind of sectioning up my year into semesters. It kind of makes the year a little bit more digestible, and making curriculums is so fun, coming up with projects. And, the semester is a journey. I like to take these kids on a journey of, yes, we learn about photography, but what can we do with that? And so this summer, I'm an artist in resident with Artworks, which is very exciting. And so I'm still kind of like in the midst of planning that. And yeah, like what kind of journey? And like that's kind of like the teaching is really fun, but it is also the planning of what I'm going to teach is really fun. So I kind of see this whole experience as this avenue that I'm going to go towards. Because as a photographer, there's like a couple different, options. You could go like the wedding photographer route, or you could go completely freelance, or you could work for a magazine if magazines are still hiring staff photographers, which doesn't happen a lot these days anymore. And so, or you can go the teaching route. And so I've kind of have been at the trailhead of all of these paths, and I haven't really known like which one I wanted to do. I've been doing freelancing for a while, and it is fun. You have a lot of flexibility, but it also is just a constant grind, chasing after each dollar. And I don't really want to do that forever. So now that I have found this passion for planning and taking students on journeys and teaching, I'm really loving that. So I think, and I keep telling my friends this because I'm trying to, do the whole, like, I'm a violinist. I have to manifest, I am going to get a master's degree, hopefully, maybe in like 2 years, get a master's degree. And then hopefully maybe become a full-time photography professor. That's what I would love to do.
I love that, and still make the work. It's like it's still. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I'll always be taking photos forever.
This is your jam, and it shows. I love that. I love being able to say like this is your jam, and then but it really genuinely is, and you do it with such a deftness and just joie de vivre. So. You're awesome. It was so nice to finally meet you. I love the fact that when Nadia Ellerhorst, who's one of our producers, who did the short segment, I was like, very nice. It was like, and I just love that you're just in it, and it's like, and it's just you're creating such a wonderful kind of presence in the fabric of the art scene, not just the photography, but the art scene in Cincinnati, and it's
really strong.
It is absolutely.
Cincinnati are so tightly woven, and that's why I love it here.
You're doing it. You're doing it. And thanks for being on the podcast to talk about it. It's been fun.
Of course, it's really exciting. This is my first podcast.
Is it really? Oh my! You're gonna have many more.
Yay! I like talking.